In this Academy tutorial video, we're going to be talking about white. We're going to be printing white ink or toner onto an uncoated black substrate, and then we're going to do a foil stamping. Or should I say, we're going to visualize it. So the question is, how do you design for that? Because when you're working with white, you can't see it on the computer screen. We have to give it a tinted color, everything working backwards. So the design on the left made the file that's on the right. So we're going to show you how that actually works. So how you get your head around it. So if you don't have a tool that shows you visualization, how do you know how something's going to come out? So what I'm going to do here, just get rid of a few elements. These are assets downloaded from freepik.com. That's freepik.com. They have changed the names to Magnific, but type it in, freepik.com, it's easy to remember. Okay, so I'm going to make a few selections of some of these elements, and I'm really just after this for the bounding information. I'm going to place that over here. I'm going to save that as a new alpha channel. And now I'm going to make another alpha channel. So this time I'm going to make it from the left-hand side. So I'm going to make a selection of this white area, and I'm going to remove the text selection. So I've just got literally that white area in the text masked out. I'm going to save that as another alpha channel. Now what I'm going to do next is, let me just make one layer that I'm going to keep in this file, and then I'm just going to get rid of everything else because we don't want it. Let me just put in a bounding guide just to make this nice and easy. Okay, so we've got an empty document and we have two alpha channels. So what we're going to do is going to go and get a nice lovely image. I've chosen this one, black and white, select all, copy that, go into our document. We're going to now go to the burger menu, make a new spot channel, and we're going to call it white. Now, white or spot white, whatever you want to call it. When you're designing with white, you can't see white on the computer screen as a spot color when you set it to overprint or multiply, so we have to give it a color. The most commonly recommended one is 100% cyan, which is recommended by companies like Ricoh, Sharp, Fujifilm, Xerox, Iridescent, that sort of thing. And the reason we do this is that you have to see it. Like I said, you can't see white set to overprint, it goes transparent. So let's make it a blue color. Now let's paste our file that we copied from our black and white. Let's move it into position so we've got it kind of how we want it. Lovely. Okay, so first thing is when we're working with white, we need to be working backwards. So anything that we want to be white, we're using to block out the substrate. So in this case, I don't need the image this way, I need it the other way. I need it inverted. So now I need to make a right reading negative, which basically means Command I on the Mac, Control I on a PC to make an inverted separation. Follow me so far? So far what we have a white color, colored up blue, that we designed backwards and inverted just to make things complicated. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a selection of our alpha channel, the one with the text on the left hand side. And on this one, I'm going to fill that with black. So when we're working with spot channels in Photoshop and I need to add white into that area, we're actually adding black. So now if you think about it, we have a spot color called white, designing in blue, adding to it in black. So no wonder people have problems designing with fifth color. It gets a little bit tricky. Okay, so we've got that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make a selection of the portrait information, and in this case you can either fill it with white, which basically means we're going to be filling it with the black substrate. So work that one out. If you want no white in that design, we would fill it with white. So it's the opposite. Everything's back to front. So we now have a file. And if you look, we've got that transparent file. If we now save that as a copy, actually, let's do some foil stamping, won't we? Okay, make another selection of the alpha channel. I'm just going to invert it. I'm going to get rid of the stuff on the right-hand edge. When we're doing foil stamping, you want to frame it out a little bit, otherwise we'll get a butt fit on the edge and you'll get a little shift in halo edges, meaning basically any misregistration on the press, you're going to see it a little kind of like faint white line. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to modify and expand that by say 2 pixels. That just frames it out. We're then going to go and do a new spot channel, and this one we're going to call foil. I don't know what color foil I want to use at the moment. If I put bronze foil, it will come in as bronze foil, but just to demonstrate this, I'm just going to give it like a bronzish gold color, so 20x65, something like that, just to give it a color. So at the moment that foil is showing as overprinting, but foil is opaque, so we could actually change the solidity and see what it's going to look like. So there's our file. Now let's save a copy, bring that down to the desktop. We'll do that as a PDF file. Let's see, white on black, and make sure I save it to the desktop, that would help. So white on black, paper. Okay, so PDF Export, save that, set it to PDF Export setting, which is the Prepress International Standard. So now that we've got the file saved as a PDF file, we're going to jump over into the V3R software. So we're going to launch V3R, we're going to go to select PDF file, direct it down to the desktop, find the PDF file. That's going to rip the file now, so there's a rip, it's going to take your PDF file, it's going to generate grayscale separations, bring it in and map everything together. And so far we'll see basically a silvery foil, and which is a kind of a catch-all placement for that foil. And then we're also going to have white. Now you can't really see the white because basically, well, white on white, you don't really see it. So let's now go into our substrate controls. Let's go down and use uncoated paper. We're going to go down and make it black. And boom, there is our design. So when we're working with white, white doesn't always come in as a full opacity on a single pass hit of a press. Meaning if you print white down first on its own, it kind of comes out looking more like that, slightly off white. So we can set that and match the opacity of the white in the press. So that's the first thing we can do, and we can save that as a preset. Do check out our other video tutorials on how all this works. I'm not going to go into every slider. So I call my thing foil. It's basically a catch-all. It doesn't really know what I want to do with it, so I'm just going to go in here and give it a coloured foil. So we have some pre-built ones in here. These are default, but you need to go and find samples. For example, different foiling companies out there have different shades of foils. There's a Japanese company that has over 3,000 foils, so having just a couple in there really doesn't cut it. The whole point is we give you the tools to allow you to say, okay, well, my bronze is looking a little bit like that, maybe it's a bit paler. Okay, great, maybe we've got some surface texture in it. We can put all that in, we can play around with all the sliders, maybe a bit more reflective. We can also switch on hot foil stamping to give you that slightly indented look. So if we zoom in, we've got a little slight highlight and shadow edge, and let me just switch that on and off so you can see it working. It's just to kind of like give you that simulation of that foil stamping. If you want to, you could also put on some foil textures. Maybe you're doing a brushed metal, and we can then save all that out. I'm going to just do this as a non-foil textured. If you wanted to do 3D rays, you could also do that. Boom, switch it on, change the height, the bevel and everything else. Again, I'm not going to do it for this one. Once you've got your file set up, you could also change the lighting. Maybe you want to move the lighting down a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit intense and you want to fade it off a little bit. Maybe you want to move it off to one side. Maybe you're happy with that. So you can play around with it and just get the idea of where you want to kind of like get your positioning. Once you've got all that set, you can then do an image capture. And when you do an image capture, it's going to do a transparent PNG of that file down to your desktop, which means that we can then open that up and have a look at it. We can use it on websites to send it to customers, put it in marketing materials, PowerPoints, whatever you want. You could also output a video. Video output will take about 3 minutes. I'm not going to demonstrate it now, but you set the duration, how long the video is going to be, and the swing angle is going to go left to right over 15 degrees, and it will take snapshots of every little stage and stitch it all together to make a lovely high resolution video. It's kind of doing basically this backwards and forwards, so you get to see how the whole thing works. So really quickly, really easy, how to design with white. So remember, white, you design it in blue, you add to the white channel with black, you remove from the white channel with white, you're working backwards in a complicated file that you can't see, and that's exactly why you need viewing tools like V3R, so you can see exactly what you're going to get before you go to the press. Any questions or concerns, please do reach out to us at hello@v3r.studio.